Welcome to the SAP Contact Center Technical Pre-Sales course. On this video, you will see how SAP Contact Center administration can be demonstrated to a potential customer. The purpose of the administration demo is to quickly show to a customer how things work. The first part covers 2 points that are important to a new customer in order for them to know how to get started, how to add new users, and how to connect to an existing PBX. This is followed by more information on user rights, different layers of user rights and how to use those, and creating a new line of business administrator. After this video, you are able to plan an SAP Contact Center administration demo in areas relevant to your prospect. You can also explain business benefits in the prospect-specific context. New users can be quickly added in different ways. Manually, by copying an existing user, or by script. Let's start by looking at the first use case, creating a user manually. Here we have a pre-configured SAP Contact Center solution. By clicking the search button, we see that there are already a few users in the system. We click the Add New button to add a new user. We can now manually fill in the user details to the basic segment. We call the user Mr. Mark Manuel and decide that he works as a sales agent in location Helsinki. With an applicable time zone. His user interface language is English and prompt language the same. We add a user settings template to give Mark a preset user interface appearance and settings. We assign him a free extension number and give an email address for chat routing and also a chat name that is displayed to customers during a chat session. Mark doesn't handle customer emails, so email fields are left empty. The directory synchronization box is already checked in the directory information block, so we move on to authentication block. We assign a logo name but do not give a password yet, which means that Mark will be prompted to add a password to himself during the first login. We move on to roles and search for available roles and add an Acme CC agent role to Mark, giving him access to agent tools. The last segment we will touch are groups. In here we search for available groups and add Mark to Acme sales agent group. This assigns him to queues that are linked to this group. Mark's user configuration is now complete and we press Save and Close button to save his settings. On the refreshed user list, we now see his information. So let's try out his account. We move to Internet Explorer and navigate to the login page of the system. We now type in his username and leave password field empty. As this is his first login and no password had been set, he's prompted to add that now. We add the password, confirm that and click OK to continue. Let's move the user interface a bit higher so we can see it better. Okay, and now on the Contact Center tab, we can click all queues to be visible in the queue view on the left. We see that Mark has access to sales queues and can activate those. By clicking Ready, our new user, Mark, just started serving in queues. First we choose our previously created user, Mark. By pressing the copy button, we can create a copy of that user. We decide to call the new user Mr. Mike Mirror and assign him the next 3 extension number. In order to make the user creation faster, we can copy groups, roles, settings and skills from the existing user to the new one, Mike. Pressing Add creates the new user and opens his details for editing. Mike is also a sales agent and also works in Helsinki. We will add him a chat address and a chat name. And with that, the basic segment is complete. We move on to authentication, where we give him a logo name and leave the password blank. As all other information was copied from the existing user, we can press Save and Close. The new user now appears on the users list, and we can move to Internet Explorer to try his login. We navigate to the login page. We give the username and press Logon. Add the password for Mike. Let's move CDT a little bit higher and then go to the Contact Center tab. We can click all the queues to be visible in the queue view on the left. We can see that Mike has access to all sales queues as he should. We can even click the presence information button to check that this is really Mike's account. Now Mike clicks the Ready button, and as he activates the queues, he's ready to start serving. In System Configurator, we go to System Tools and choose Export. On the drop-down list, we see different data types that can be exported. We choose Users for now. By pressing the button on the User Group row, we get a new pop-up window where we can choose to group which users we want to export. Let's choose Acme Sales Agent Group and press the Add button. Through checkboxes, we choose to export also the user roles, skills and directory information. Other settings are fine, so we press the Start button. We don't need to see the job details, so we press Cancel. Let's move to Import and Export Jobs to see the status of our job. First we do a search and find the export job we just created. It's enabled but has not finished yet. By pressing refresh, we get an updated status, and now we see that batch of server has run and the results column shows the created export file. Text editors are not very convenient with comma-separated text files, and we don't have Excel installed on the server. So we move to a local PC instead and edit the file from there. On the PC, we navigate to the server folder where the export file lies. And open it with Excel. The file looks a bit garbled, so we choose the first column, go to Data tab and choose Text to Columns. CSV files are delimited, so we can click Finish immediately. Now the file looks much better already, but we still adjust the column width to make it a little bit more readable. As we can see, the column names correspond to the configuration we did earlier for Mark and Mike. The reason for exporting was to get a template we could use for importing new users. We copy an existing user row as a basis. ID needs to be removed as two users cannot have the same user GUID. We call the new user Simon1 with identical login and last name script. He gets the next free extension number, his own chat address, and a chat name. All other settings are good, so Simon1 would be ready to be imported. New user data could be entered manually to this file, but we want to create more users at the same time, so we copy Simon's information to 5 rows. We fix the values on the synchronized row to number 1, which is the only allowed numerical value, and I give a unique chat address for all other Simons. Other information on the spreadsheet is already good, so we can go ahead and save the file. We add the suffix edited to keep this one separate from the original exported file and click Save. We click Yes to keep the workbook in the same format. Jumping back to System Configurator, we go to Import. From the pull-down menu, we choose to import users. We click the Import to User Group button, do a search, choose Acme Sales Agents Group as the target, and click Add. We click the Folder button and choose the freshly edited file to be opened. By pressing Start, we initiate the job. We don't need to see the job details, so we click Cancel. To see the job status, we go to Import and Export Jobs and do a search to see the new import job on the list. A refresh shows that the job is now running, and the second refresh shows the job completed. To see the results, we go to Users, do a search, and see the Simons on the list. Now let's try out a login with one of them. We go to Internet Explorer, navigate to login page, and try to log in as Simon4. When prompted, we enter a new password and click OK. On the Contact Center tab, we see the sales queues, which we can move to the queue list on the left. We activate the queues and click Ready, and now the imported user is ready to service customers. Import script is a really fast way of creating large number of users at once. VoIP gateways are used to connect SAP Contact Center to PSTN or to an existing PBX. Traditionally, gateways have been used for performing protocol conversion from time division multiplexing used in public telephone networks to IP packet switch traffic used in IP networks. Nowadays, SIP protocol is getting more and more popular. Unfortunately, SIP stack implementations between different vendors are not always uniform. In such a case, a gateway is recommended to be used to normalize SIP traffic between two different systems. As a starting point, we have a situation where a customer call lands on the PBX system, which is not connected to SAP Contact Center. An agent is ready to serve customer calls in CDT, but the call cannot be transferred to SAP Contact Center. Customer cannot be served and is unhappy. The same situation is now fixed by adding a gateway and connecting the two phone systems together. On the gateway, we have specified a number range to be forwarded towards the IP address of the SIP bridge in SAP Contact Center. In similar fashion, in System Configurator, we connect the IP address of the gateway to a SIP bridge in SAP Contact Center. When the customer call now comes in, the routing table in the PBX directs the call via the gateway to SAP Contact Center. The customer got a quality answer and is happy. The agent was able to help the customer and is happy too. Here we have a customer service representative that is eagerly waiting for new calls. On the right-hand side, we have a customer who has a service need. So the customer decides to dial a service number.
The dialed number is unallocated. Please check the number. Valitsemanne numero ei ole käytössä. Olkaa hyvä ja tarkistakaa numero. Numret ni har valt är...
That was really bad news for the customer. What is missing is the gateway. So let's add that. In System Configurator, we go to Call Switching Gateways, do a search to find out that there are 0 gateways in the system. So we add a new one. There are two options, H323 or SIP. We choose SIP protocol for the gateway. We give a good name for the gateway. In this case, Helsinki Gateway. And add a description. Gateway to connect to PSTN and to PBX. We give an IP address of the SIP bridge in SAP Contact Center system. And choose the applicable SIP bridge from the drop-down menu. We add an in-mask, 4 hashes, meaning that the extension number length is 4 digits in SAP Contact Center system. Now we see the new gateway in the system. So as a customer, let's try to call in again to the same service number. This time the call works. The agent sees an incoming call to sales queue and answers. And we can see that the call is connected. SAP Contact Center has a unique way of giving very detailed user rights via incremental modules. This allows building very granular user types. Different business needs can be addressed by creating completely new user types or by customizing existing user types. For example, business users can be given a contained access to administration. As an introduction to user rights, let's go through the different layers. User role gives you generic rights to phone functionality and presence profiles. The contact center agent role allows you to toggle your ready status. User template allows you to adjust your user interface settings, such as your user interface language, visibility of buttons, and quick dial keys. User group enables you to join and serve in queues and to see other channels like chat and email. A reporting group brings you group level statistics to CDT so that you can see what your contribution to the whole group is. In this example video, we use customer-specific copies of roles, groups, and templates. It is a good policy to create a copy of the default roles, groups, and templates and to use those when setting up user rights. It is usual to customize the templates to business needs, and this way the original settings are kept safe in case you accidentally delete or otherwise damage the template. It is also a good policy to use roles, groups, and templates to give exact and non-overlapping user rights. User rights management should be done to groups of users rather than to individual users directly. Good design here saves you a lot of management work in the long run. Let's continue the user management by creating a supervisor. We click on Add New and fill in the details for Miss Sally, supervisor, who is the supervisor for sales queues. She works in location Helsinki with a matching time zone. Her user interface and prompt languages are English. For user settings template, we choose Acme Supervisor. This gives Sally more rights than what the Acme CC agent template would. We assign Sally with a free extension number and give her a logon name. We add Acme Supervisor role and add her to Acme Supervisors group. By pressing save, we have created a new supervisor with standard supervisor rights to the sales agents group and with corresponding rights to monitoring and reporting. But that is not all. The business users have identified a need for 2 administration tasks that need to be done faster, creating new queues and changing queue schedules. As we know that Sally is quite a savvy supervisor, we decide to grant her with those additional rights. In the user rights block, we can see the current user rights for Sally. We start from user groups. From here, we could grant her rights to view, modify, create, delete, manage rights, and manage members. We can check any combination of the boxes to grant Sally specific rights for user groups. Let's change the filter from her direct rights to all rights. Now we see that she already has inherited rights to manage Acme Sales Agents Group, which is exactly what she needs in her job. Let's move on to queues. There was a business need for creating new queues, so we grant Sally the rights to do that by checking the boxes View, Modify, and Create. In queue group, we add the manage members right, so that Sally can keep also all the future queues in the same queue group. In contact center, we add her the view right, and finally in extension, the modify and create rights, so that she can assign a number for the new queues she creates. Sally also needed to change service schedules, so let's go to schedule and give her view, modify and create rights. And finally, in calendar, we add her the view rights. Sally's user rights are now done, and we click on Save and Close. We are now ready to try out our new supervisor, Sally. We log in with her account to System Configurator and assign a new password for her. It seems like Sally could access all areas of System Configurator, but in fact she only has access to the areas where we gave her the user rights. To try this out, let's go to Presence Management, to Profiles, and do a search. Even if we do the search, we still get 0 results. Let's move to User and Role Management and look at user roles. We know that other roles are available, but with the current user rights, Sally can only edit the roles to which she has been assigned to herself. In the meanwhile, Sally gets notified by Simon 3 that he has forgotten his password and cannot log in. Let's move to Users and do a search. In here, Sally has access to all user data. She chooses Simon 3 from the list, goes to his authentication block, checks Set Password box, assigns a new password, and clicks Save and Close. Simon 3 is now ready to log in again with the new password. The next thing Sally does is adding a new queue. We move on to Queue Management, choose Queues, and do a search. We choose Sales Queue and click the Copy button. That creates a copy of the existing sales queue, which we can name to Marketing Campaign. We check boxes to copy skills, queue groups, service time schedules, and prompt schedules from the sales queue to the new Marketing Campaign queue. This way, we copy the configuration from a working queue to a new one. This saves a lot of time and reduces the probability of typos. We add a description, and go to Number Addresses block and add an extension number for the queue. In the queue groups block, we see that the queue group information got copied to the new queue automatically. We click Save and Close to save the settings and see the new queue on the list. Let's move to CDT to use the new queue. We have an open session with Simon 4 as the user. And there are 3 queues visible on the queue tab. The Marketing Campaign queue that Sally added is not visible yet. Depending on the update cycle, we might see a pop-up message asking to reload. Let's reload now rather than wait for it. We go to File menu and choose Reload. Reload is a quick way to restart CDT with the latest settings and user rights. As we can see, the marketing campaign queue is now visible for Simon 4, as it is for all other users in the same agent group. Simon 4 can now join the new queue and start serving in it. Sally also had a need for managing schedules. So let's move back to System Configurator and go to Schedules. By doing a search, we can see all current schedules. Note that even the marketing campaign queue has schedules already, as those were copied from an existing queue. We add new and choose the type Service Times and choose the new schedule to be applicable to a single queue rather than the whole contact center. In the queue block, we do a search and choose and add the sales queue. In the calendar block, we check the Use Ad Hoc Calendar box and add the start and end date and time for our ad hoc calendar. In this case, we only need to close the sales queue 2 hours earlier on a single day for an internal training. Finally, we choose the default function for the new schedule to be closed, and we can click Save and Close. To see the new schedule, we do a search for all schedules on the sales queue. We can see our ad hoc schedule on the list and can compare that with the normal workday schedule. As we can see, it is really easy and fast to create new user types in System Configurator. We can make an administrator user separately just for system services, for outbound management, or for IVR management. Or we can add more rights to an existing user group, user role, or to an individual user. If business users can manage daily operational changes quickly by themselves, it makes administration appropriate and increases productivity. In the System Configurator, under the User Rights block of every user, there is a button called View Summary of Rights. With a click of that button, a new window opens showing a complete user rights matrix of that user. This matrix shows all rights the user has via roles and groups, as well as rights assigned directly to the user. The rights can be sorted by every column to, for example, find out whether there are overlapping rights or why one user has access to something to which otherwise similar user does not. Let's summarize the main points of SAP Contact Center Administration and look at the business benefits. On this introductory video, we saw that there are different ways of creating users. Scripts can be used to import a large number of users at once. This is especially beneficial when setting up a completely new solution or adding a new service location. Adding a gateway is easy. Gateway allows you to connect SAP Contact Center to public telephone network or protect existing investments by connecting to an existing telephone system. User rights are modular with ready-made, industry standard skill sets available for most common user types. User types are easy to customize, and user rights can be distributed for users based on skill set and expertise. This gives business users a better control of the operations, reduces delays, and allows you to share the administrative load.